On behalf of the management, the administrators, the teaching and non-teaching staff and the students, I welcome all the honorable members to the virtual inspection of Sindhphana Public School, Majalgaon, District Beed, Maharashtra. As shown in the video recording, you will notice that our school is enclosed by a boundary wall on all sides as per CBSE norms. Indoor and outdoor sports and games. The role of sports and games cannot be ignored while discussing the development of a human being. Sports are necessary for maintaining proper health, physique, and an unbending spirit. It makes a person physically strong and mentally alert. It makes one more disciplined, active, and vibrant. Studies show that being involved in sports eases your tension and anxiety. One learns the true spirit of teamwork and coordination. A person involved in sports takes defeat graciously. Sports are also a form of recreation. The aim of Sinfana Public School is to make sure that the students become all-rounders, to promote healthy living, to develop leadership qualities and team management among the students, to make students mentally strong and emotionally balanced, to encourage sportsmanship. Kindly observe the sports grounds and courts Sinfana Public School possesses for the overall development of its children. Courts and grounds: volleyball courts, basketball court, cricket ground, football ground, and a swimming pool. We are a residential school catering to the educational needs of nearby and far-flung villages. We have a boys' hostel and a girls' hostel. As of now, Sindhfana Public School is the only school having a girls' hostel in the district of Bid. Chemistry labs are a great place for students to help them enhance their learning by understanding the theoretical concepts of science which are taught in classrooms. Well-designed laboratories not only make science experiments fun, but also help students in achieving good academic results. The chemistry laboratory includes a unique mode of learning, instruction, and assessment. The school's chemistry laboratory is well equipped to cater to the needs of the students. Physics laboratory. Newton won a stunning victory for the intellect and the democratization of science because it became possible for students to have as much authority as teachers. By knowing proper methods, a youth could conduct an experiment whose results might confound his elders. Newton's program of experimental philosophy firmly and successfully established the central methods of physics, whereby inference from experience guides formulation of hypotheses whose predictions are validated by experiment. Laboratory activities in high school physics provide experience with phenomena, a starting place for the systematic development of students' ideas, and a testing ground for the predictive power of their reasoning. Laboratory activities must be designed to engage students' minds so that students may acquire skills and proficiency in measurement of physical quantities with appropriate accuracy, recognition of factors that would affect the reliability of their measurements, manipulations of materials, apparatus, tools, and measuring instruments, representation of information in appropriate verbal, pictorial, graphical, and mathematical terms, reference and reasoning from their observations, ability to rationally defend their conclusions and predictions, effective and valued participation with their peers and their teacher in a cooperative intellectual enterprise. Biology laboratory. Students of biology are bombarded with new information, theories, techniques, concepts, and vocabulary. In fact, some educational researchers postulate that students learn as many new terms in an introductory biology course as in a foreign language course. And these new terms are essential to learn in order to discuss the mechanisms and concepts of biological systems. However, rote memorization is a learning and teaching method that is becoming more and more passive. Laboratory studies are often used in teaching natural science, especially a broad spectrum of biological sciences. During the last 20 to 30 years, there has been a renewed interest in learning by inquiry, and in the use of laboratory work in demonstrating biological principles. As you will notice in the video, our biology lab is tailor-made for the students. Mathematics Laboratory. The Mathematics Laboratory is a unique concept in the field of mathematics education that was introduced in the year 1994. It has come a long way in enriching mathematics at primary, secondary, and senior secondary level. In developing countries like India, the Mathematics Laboratory is an integral part of the regular curriculum. Teaching of mathematics should deal with the process and not just confined to transferring the knowledge from the mind of the teachers to the notebooks of the students through the tip of a pen. And for such a phenomenal change in teaching of mathematics, a right ambience is required, and that is definitely the Mathematics Laboratory. A Mathematics Laboratory can act like a concomitant between teacher and students and provides an opportunity to understand and discover the beauty, importance, and relevance of mathematics as a discipline. It makes mathematics teaching and learning interesting and purposeful for the students. The activities held in the Mathematics Laboratory help students to visualize, manipulate, and reason. The lab provides opportunities to make conjectures and test them and to generalize observed patterns. It can be expected to enhance the pupil's understanding of the subject as taught at the school and can also provide a glimpse of what is beyond. We at Sinfana Public School give our budding mathematicians ample opportunities to achieve their goal and beyond that by encouraging them to use the Mathematics Laboratory. Computer Lab. A computer laboratory is important in every private and government school to enhance the scientific and technological research and invention capacity of students. If there is a computer lab, then students can invest their free time in learning programming, automation, and to improve basic computer skills. The computer lab serves as the center for teaching computer use to whole classes, usually by a specialist computer teacher. Classroom teachers also use the lab with their classes for research or for creating technology-based projects. Technology specialists use the computer lab for teacher-in services, where they instruct teachers on various aspects of using computers in educational settings. The traditional computer lab often serves as the location for networked printers, scanners, and projectors that are used by the whole school, which have internet connectivity accessible to each and every computer. Our computer lab consists of 20 clients and 1 server. Library. The word library is rich in tradition, meaning, and usage. The definitions of school library given by various library scientists and associations reflect this heritage. Throughout the world, the library of a school is considered as a part and parcel of the academic setup. At Sinfana Public School, our library has been created and maintained to serve and support the educational activities of the students, to provide the students with appropriate library materials, both printed as well as audiovisual, and services for the overall growth and development of the personality of the students as an individual, develop reading ability and interest, and inculcate love, enjoyment, and pleasure of reading amongst the students, assist the students to become skillful and discriminating users of the library, offer opportunities for experiences in creating and using information for knowledge, understanding, enjoyment, support all students in learning and practicing skills for evaluating and using information, stimulate and guide each student in the selection and use of books and other reading materials for building of taste at appropriate levels of maturity. In our school library, we have a variety of books in English, Hindi and Marathi, fiction, non-fiction, poetry, encyclopedias, reference books on all subjects, and you name it, we have it. The speciality of our library is that it caters to all age groups. Dance room. We teach students to use their bodies to communicate and express meaning through purposeful movements. Dance practice integrates choreography, performance, and appreciation of and responses to dance and the making of a dance. Music is also considered an important cog in the wheel for all the sections of the school learners. Our music room is a hive of tuneful activity, playing host throughout the year to approximately hundreds of individual musical lessons, band and ensemble rehearsals. And craft room. Art and craft is just not a part of the timetabled curriculum of our school. It is offered to both the junior and senior pupils as a co-curricular activity with individual and inter-house competitions held at regular intervals. The school is committed in fostering the child's or the student's self-belief. We also help them to realize their potential through enjoyment and interest. We also prepare our students for the elementary and intermediate exams. have a variety of indoor sports and games. We have table tennis, judo, karate, boxing, carom board, and chess. Audio-visual room. The audio-visual room in Sindhwana Public School is a place where the students of all classes experience learning in an effective way. The audio-visual method appeals most to the senses. It leaves a deeper impact as it involves greater attention in the art of learning and helps the children to retain the concepts taught through these aids. Wellness room. A wellness room is a safe space created in our school intended to provide students with an opportunity to focus on reducing stress and anxiety and the development of a healthy coping strategies and self-care. Whichever way one might choose to bring a wellness room to life in our building, it can be a wonderful and soothing space for both students and staff. In Sindhwana Public School, our wellness room also acts as an infirmary under the supervision of a highly qualified nurse and a doctor on call.
Welcome. Today we are learning hypertext markup language. HTML we are using to make small web pages. So it is very interesting. The aim is to introduce HTML coding. So the learning outcome, you will be able to create a simple web page and you'll be able to understand this level of coding. So we need a notepad and we need a web browser. Any web browser you can use Mozilla, Google Chrome or Internet Explorer. Even Microsoft Edge also we can use for coding. So we are doing the code in Notepad and when it works, we need a web browser to display the output. So here, for example, we wrote here how to start coding, HTML coding, HTML, we open HTML, we close HTML. So angular bracket we are using for HTML, for tag, HTML is a tag, and closing we are using a black slash after angular bracket to close that HTML. It is actually a container. Inside this container we are writing other codes. So head and body, two sections are there. In head we are normally writing the title of the document and the body part, the content of the website. Here the title we have given hello world and body also we wrote hello world. But H1 is the heading 1 style. The hello world in the content will come in heading 1 style. Here one paragraph also be added. This paragraph you can see here. Here this is my first web page. This is my first web page and that is the paragraph we added here. After writing the code, we have to save it. We go to file and save. We go to save as. Not in save, we go to save as. That is important. When you save a text editor file, that will be txt file. We don't want txt file, we need HTML file. Any file name we can select and we can give file name .html or htm. Both will work. So we go to file and save as and choose our location and we give a file name .htm. Extension will be htm or html. So here a sample output here. So let's learn practically now. We learn practically. We write real coding and the real time the output we can check now. Here you can see Notepad is open. We wrote HTML here, closing tag. So head is there, the title. This title we can have small letter and capital letter, no problem. If I write in small letter, it also will work because HTML is not case sensitive. I can use small letter also for title. It won't make any difference. So after writing the body part, this is a heading style 1. We applied heading style 1. This is my first web page. Heading style 6 styles are the H1 to H6. H1 is the biggest one. Now we go to file and we go to save as. Yes, we choose a location. For easy access, we can choose desktop now. So here I give the name. I'm giving the name web.htm. So let me save. The file is saved now. Minimize it, notepad. Here you can see the file. When we double click, we get the output now. We are waiting for the output stream. The output you can see, this is my first website. In heading 1 style it is came. So title you can see welcome to HTML. So this is the output what we got. If you want some changes, some coding for next step. For example, we need a background color. We can give that how to apply background color. I will tell you. This is our web file. Right click on that. We go to the editor. Open with the editor is Notepad. Open with Notepad. So I want to give some background color. The coding is in body part. That's called the content where there will be the background color. BG color I am applying. BG color equal to sky blue. That's sky blue here. Just let me save. And we'll go again to this. Double click this web. So actually we got here black color only. So we have to check what is the mistake in the coding. If we didn't get the output, then we have to check the code again and go into the code. Let me check the code again. If any small mistake, we will not get the output. So here I put double quotes here, the sky blue color. So again save and let me check it again, the output. So we got light blue now. This way we can create a small web page and step by step we can learn advanced coding. So I hope you understand. So let me change once more the color, how to change the color. See, instead of sky blue, you need which color? Any other color like yellow, or let me apply silver color. Okay, silver color. Save, and again we'll check the output. Yes, we got a silver color background. This is the title, welcome to HTML. This is our what we wrote inside the heading one, that is came here, and the background also that. So this way we can develop our HTML coding. In this class, you can learn more about HTML. Thank you.
Class, we will see the Ohm's law, which gives the relation between voltage, that is potential difference, electric current, and a resistance of a resistor. So the statement is like this. The law states that when temperature remains constant, the potential difference across two ends of a conductor in an electric circuit is directly proportional to the current flowing through the circuit. We can also state this law in some smaller sentences, like the law states that when temperature remains constant, current flowing through the circuit is directly proportional to the potential difference applied across it. So this the Ohm's law deals with the relation between voltage and current. So voltage is directly proportional to current, that is potential difference is directly proportional to current. So this will lead to the very famous relation, that is V is equal to IR. So in mathematical form we can write at a constant temperature potential difference is directly proportional to current, that is V is proportional to I. So if we eliminate this proportionality constant, we need to use the constant which is known as resistance of a circuit. So we can write the formula V is equal to IR, where R is the proportionality constant and which is also called as the resistance of a material or a resistor. In the previous class we defined the resistance, the property of a conductor to oppose the flow of charges or the flow of current, that is known as what? Resistance. So Ohm's law leads us to the definition of resistance in different way, that is R is equal to V by I. We also defined 1 ohm in the previous class when there is a flow of 1 ampere current due to the 1 volt potential difference across a resistor, across a conductor or across a circuit. So here we are discussing the Ohm's law, so we can establish the relation between potential difference and current, which is in directly proportional. So let's move on, and if we plot a graph between voltage, that is potential difference, versus the current, you can take it on any one of the axes x or y, and you will get a straight line, which implies us that these two quantities are in direct proportion. That means as voltage or potential difference increases, current will definitely increase. So let's see how we can prove the experimental setup of Ohm's law. So in the previous year the question was there, prove the Ohm's law with the help of any experiment, or prove experimentally the Ohm's law. So in such case, we know the basic thing regarding the Ohm's law, that potential difference is directly proportional to current. So let's imagine one electric circuit as shown in figure. Consider an electric circuit as shown in figure. You can take any 2-3 readings to show mathematically how potential difference is directly proportional to current. So let's take 5 readings of a current. By changing the potential difference, we will observe how current will change. So then we observe that current also changes with potential difference as we are taking the readings. So we will plot a graph, and we will also make the ratio, calculate the ratio V by I, which is known as resistance of a resistor. So this is our circuit in which voltmeter is there across a resistor of resistance R, which measures the potential difference across two ends of a resistor R. Ammeter is there to measure the current flowing through the resistor. So experimental setup will be like this. We will take any 3, 4, 5 whatever may be the readings, and we will check the ratio potential difference divided by current. If it becomes the same, that means if it is a constant ratio, then we can say Ohm's law is verified, because in Ohm's law we have seen that potential difference is directly proportional to current. That means V by I, this ratio will be constant, which is nothing but the resistance of a resistor. So let's move on the readings. So let's say we have taken the 5 readings, so our 5 observations are there. In the second column we have potential difference, which is measured in volt. In third column we have current, which is obviously measured in ampere. And in last column we will see how the ratio of V by I, that is potential difference and current, will come. That is nothing but the resistance in ohms. So as you see, as we are increasing the potential difference from 1 to 5, we are also getting increased value of current. So let's say in the first observation we have the potential difference as a 1 volt, then we have the electric current as a 0.5 ampere. In second observation, whenever there is a 2 volt potential difference, we are getting 1 ampere of current. So in this way, as potential difference increases, current is also increasing. And in all these 5 observations, we are getting the resistance as a constant, that is 2 ohm. So which proves our Ohm's law. So this particular setup is helpful to explain the Ohm's law in an experimental way. So we made an experiment. We imagine one circuit. We took the readings of potential difference, current and resistance, and we found that as voltage increases, as potential difference increases, current also increases. And we also get the ratio constant of that is resistance. R is equal to V by I. So R is equal to V by I, that is the Ohm's law. That means voltage is directly proportional to current. So if we plot the graph, if we take on the x-axis as a current and on the y-axis as a potential difference, you will observe that we will get a straight line graph. Again, the graph also indicates that potential difference is directly proportional to current. So this is a famous triangle of Ohm's law, in which we will get 3 relations from one single concept, that is potential difference is directly proportional to current. So if you want to write the formula for potential difference, we can write V is equal to IR. If you want to write formula for I, obviously R will go in denominator and we will get I is equal to V by R, and finally R is equal to V by I. This gives us two proportionalities. One is potential difference is directly proportional to current. That means whenever you are being asked to solve the problem based on these two quantities only and resistance is not given, so we can use these relationships. So as potential difference changes with current, so we can write V is directly proportional to I, and we can write the further relations like V1 upon V2 is equal to I1 upon I2. Similarly, the second proportionality is obviously of inverse. That is, current is inversely proportional to resistance. There is no need to write the proportionality of potential difference and resistance, because as potential difference changes, current will change and therefore resistance will definitely change. So from this proportionality, we can say that as potential difference increases, current will increase and obviously resistance will decrease. So moving further, let's solve one simple numerical. The circuit is shown in which current of 3 ampere is moving across a resistor of resistance 2 ohm, and potential difference we need to calculate. So we have formula V is equal to IR. So here current is 3 ampere, so we can put the value of current as a 3 ampere in the formula V is equal to IR. So 3 into 2 we will get a 6 volt. So potential difference V is equal to 6 volt. So let's solve some of the numericals based